This story was submitted by Julie. This incident happened when I was 14, a couple of years ago. In my hometown there is an annual carnival that takes place during the autumn months. The police in my town are very lax, and unlike many carnivals or fairs, you really don't see them in the area. So when night begins to fall and kids leave, the older teens like to come out and engage in some less than legal activities. For my older sister and me, it was a tradition to go to the carnival on a Friday night and try to get some alone time away from our parents, like many teens our age do. After a couple hours at the carnival, we decided it was starting to get quite late, so we decided to head back to my sister's car. As the typical parking area was full when we got there, we decided it would be easiest to park at a nearby school. Aside from cutting through a playground, it meant we also had to cut through a graveyard. As we were walking through the barren, dimly lit street, we finally struck the entrance to the graveyard. My sister and I had done this previous years, and weren't all that freaked out by going into the graveyard at night. However, when we approached the gate, we realized that there were 3 older men, probably in their early 20s, standing there. They were all wearing dark, heavy clothing, and all looked rather unkempt. We were a bit weary, but decided to try and quickly walk past them without doing anything to trigger a response. Something felt strangely off, and we couldn't shake the overwhelming feeling of dread walking past those 3 men. As we walked by them, their eyes were glued in our direction. They began whispering to one another without taking their eyes off of us, and they started to smile. We tried to keep our eyes glued straight ahead and pretend as if we hadn't noticed them, but out of my peripheral, I noticed that as we walked past them, they began to walk in our direction. The graveyard was pitch black as there weren't any lamps, and we had to resort to using the flashlights on our phones. There is something absolutely terrifying about a dim white light illuminating a graveyard at night. To this day, I will never forget seeing those tombstones looking up at us. It was very creepy. We looked back at the entrance to see the 3 black figures tailing us in the distance. My heart started fluttering and I knew we were in danger. I looked at my sister and we returned looks of fear. We ended up running through the remainder of the graveyard. I looked back once more and saw that the group of men were catching up, and I heard them laughing to one another. After we cut through the graveyard, we hopped a fence, cut through some bushes, and made it to the open field where the school's playground was. It was a clear shot to the parking lot, so we sprinted through the playground and passed through an alleyway. We had finally made it to our car, and we had figured we had lost them. We still hurried up and got in, and we drove out of there as fast as we could. As we were driving back alongside the alleyway that runs along the side of the school, standing under the streetlight were those 3 guys. They just stood there staring at our car, and a wave of dread engulfed my body as I locked eyes with them. We sped off, and when I looked back once more, they were gone. My sister and I haven't gone back to the fair since, and that happened about 4 years ago. I try to erase that horrifying experience out of my mind, but I often wonder what their intentions were that night. If they just wanted to scare us, or if they wanted to be a bit more menacing, I'll never know. This story was submitted by an anonymous viewer. I was around 7 years old or so, and I slept in the same room with my sister, who was about a year older than me. On this particular night, my dad went out to have a few drinks with his friends, which he rarely does, leaving my sister, my mom, and me alone in our 2-story house. It was around maybe 1 a.m., and I remember my mom waking my sister and me up, telling us to hurry up and come to her room. We didn't know what was going on at the time, and still heavily sleepy, just thought it was something minor that was going on. It wasn't until we head into my mom's room that I began to worry. She was frantically pacing from left to right on the phone with the police, and mumbling to herself that we were all going to be okay. Judging by the sound of her voice, I could tell that she was truly terrified. I have never seen my mom like that before. My sister and I asked what was going on, but she wouldn't give us a straight answer, and just told us to stay in the room with her until the police arrived. She kept checking to confirm that the door was locked and looking out the window to see if anyone was there. She called my dad, who literally sped over as fast as he could to our house, and got here the same time as the cops did. My mother gave her statement to the police, bawling her eyes out while my dad tried to comfort her. It wasn't until after they left that she told us what had happened. She said that she had woken up to the sound of our little dog Rusty barking at our back door downstairs. She didn't think anything of it until our dog would not stop barking, so she decided to go downstairs to see what Rusty was barking at. Keep in mind, our back door is glass. Once she made it downstairs, she literally stopped in her tracks due to what she saw. A white male, maybe in his 30s wearing a baseball cap, was trying to break down the door. As he was doing so, he stopped and stared at my mom, who did the same thing. She said it felt like hours of her standing there until she finally grabbed Rusty and ran up the stairs, and that's when she got us out of bed. The cops did a thorough search of our yard and everything, but they never found him. I am a teen now, and I still live in the same house with my family. I still get shaken up when looking outside into the darkness, and we have since got blinds for our back door. If it wasn't for my dog barking, this guy probably would have broken in, and who knows what he would have done to us. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. If you would like a chance to have your story featured in an upcoming video, make sure you check the description for information on how to submit your stories. Now in the first story, thankfully you guys made it back to your vehicle before the guys were able to catch up with you. I'm pretty sure that 3 guys dressed in black in a cemetery at night, following a couple of women, probably didn't have the best intentions. Fortunately, you never had to confirm this firsthand. Now in the second story, thankfully you had a dog that was able to notify your mother that someone was trying to get inside. Like you stated, had your dog not been barking, this guy might have made it inside, and I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have ended well. Fortunately, your mother actually got out of bed to go check on the dog rather than just let him bark. Now before I close this video, in case you might have missed last night's video, if you would like to poke a little bit of fun at me, I have a roast going on Reddit. I'll include a link in the description if you'd like to stop by and check it out and maybe have a little bit of fun. I'll be going through the comments next month and I'll do a video around the time of my birthday, so make sure if you're joining the roast, you come up with something original. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next video. And just remember, it's always scarier if it's true.